Hi, I'm Kevin, and this is HFX by Bike, a channel all about getting around Halifax by bike. In today's video, I'll be showing off the Halifax Commons. Sitting between the north and west ends and downtown Halifax, the Commons act as a kind of interchange for people making trips around the urban core by bike. As always, I'll be playing a game of +1 -2 along the way. Every time I run into something that makes my trip safer or more convenient, I'll add a point, and every time I run into something that makes it less safe or less convenient, I'll take away 2 points. You can keep track of how I think the ride is going by looking at the heads-up display in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm starting off on Wellsford Street, which connects the Commons to the Windsor Street painted bike lanes. Unfortunately, the crossing at Roby requires a dismount. Every path on the Commons is a multi-use path, so you'll be sharing space with pedestrians, which is fine, save that there are a lot of them and the paths crossing the North Commons are relatively narrow. The alignment where these paths meet is weird and requires a tight turn. This section running along North Street is plenty wide. You might be wondering why there's a multi-use path running next to a painted bike lane, but the reason for that's going to be a little bit more obvious once we get to the Cogswell roundabout. Speaking of, bikes are able to move through the roundabout using the same path as pedestrians. It's a little on the narrow side, but I've already taken off points for that. More relevant is how bumpy the crossing is, and the fact that the roundabout is designed to maximize the speed of cars entering and exiting the roundabout rather than the safety of pedestrians and cyclists on the path. Another fun fact about the roundabout is that bikes can't travel the entire way around it while staying in the path. If you're staying in the shared path, you're either coming from Bell Road or the Rainy bike lanes. If you want to do something wacky like connect the Commons to the North End Bikeway 1 block away, you're out of luck. This is the Ahern multi-use path. It runs between the Cogswell roundabout and Bell Road. Just like every other part of the Commons, it's bidirectional for bikes. The transition between Ahern and Bell Road painted bike lanes is really awkward. If you're headed to the roundabout, you end up having to make a hairpin turn out of the bike lane. If you're merging onto Bell Road, you end up entering the intersection at exactly the place where cars are making frequent right-hand turns. This is Bell Road in the outbound direction, and I'm just using it to get to a different part of the Commons. I am not scoring this section. This multi-use path cuts through the central Commons and gives you access to things like the skate park and the new aquatic center. The crossing at Cogswell is technically another forced dismount. Back on the North Commons, the lights are starting to turn on. Basically, every bikeable path on the Commons is covered by lights. The entire Commons multi-use path network is paved surface, which only has a couple of bumpy areas. The whole thing is flat, and it receives relatively prompt clearing during the winter. The Kennard Street roundabout is off to my left. No part of it is covered by bike infrastructure. There are some ramps that let bikes easily come off of the road onto the Commons though. Off to my left is a pedestrian crossing to North Bernard Street, which allows access to both the North End Bikeway and the Barrington Greenway. This one's pretty egregious, so once again, I'm going to have to take off points for the forced dismount. I've already covered this stretch, but I'll just add that there are various bike parking spots dotted around the Commons so that you can enjoy the park for itself. Also, in general, this is a really nice place to ride through, especially in the spring and summer. Heading through the Cogswell roundabout again, but this time I'm on the Trollope Street multi-use path. This one connects to Bell Road too, but this time it's at the intersection with Summer Street. Compared to Ahern, the transition from the path onto the road is facilitated by a cross ride heading down Summer Street, as well as a left turn box that lets you get smoothly onto Bell. The entire bikeable surface of the Commons is about 3 kilometers in total, so here are the bonus points. The Commons sit at the heart of Halifax's bike network, but suffer from a lack of integration with surrounding infrastructure. This is so severe that on North Park Street, there's an actual painted bike lane sitting right next to a multi-use path, both ostensibly doing the same thing. The basic issue is that the Commons pedestrian pathways have been opened up to bikes as a quick way of enabling off-street movement between various parts of the urban core, but without necessarily considering how the different parts of the network are supposed to function together. Overall, the commons are useful as an interchange for bikes on the peninsula. That's it for this one. Let me know in the comments how you interact with the commons by bike. If you like this kind of thing, be sure to drop a like for the episode and to subscribe to the channel. As always, thanks for watching, and see you next time.